All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It is Sunday. I know you know it because we are fireside, keeping warm for our slowest day of the week, where you get to just settle in, pour that coffee, and relax and listen to some slower music. What are we talking about today? All right, we are going back to 1963. This past week, March 5th, 1963, the music industry lost the great Patsy Cline in a tragic accident at the age of 30, no less. March 5th, 1963. Let's talk about Patsy Cline. I might be surprised at this topic, some of you out there, but I am a Patsy Cline fan. Patsy Cline, basically the first major successful crossover country to pop artist in history, really. And she only had an 8-year career, if you think about that. But she is a big deal. I hope some of you or most of you are aware of her music. She was born in Virginia. Her mother was 16 and her dad was 43. She had two half siblings, aged 12 and 15. She got rheumatic fever at the age of 13. So bad that she had a throat infection. She was put in an oxygen tent. Her heart stopped. It was touch and go there for a while, and then when she came out of it, her voice was distinctly different. She said it was booming. And then she got the idea to become a singer. She started singing in church choirs, and she self-taught her to play piano. Basically, the story is like you see in the movies, as far as like singing in a church choir, and then doing radio auditions. She was pretty bold at a young age. She went down to a radio station and wanted to audition, and they said, "Well, if you feel like you can do that, let's go ahead and do that." She did talent shows. She wrote the Grand Ole Opry and wanted an audition. They said, send them some stuff. She actually did make that drive and audition. It turns out she did not hear back from them, but she just kept at it. She kept doing contests and radio shows, and she finally won a contest and was put on TV, and that got her chance to record some demos, which led to a very early 2-year contract in 1954. She moved to Nashville in 1960 to be closer to the action. She finally got to play the Grand Ole Opry, became a member. And by 1961, she had her first single, I Fall to Pieces, which went to number 1 in the country charts and number 12 in the Billboard pop charts. That was a big deal. Her next single would be Crazy, written by Willie Nelson. Apparently she was not crazy about Crazy, didn't want to sing it, showed up in the recording studio, made a bunch of different changes to the actual song, was still recovering from, she had been in a car crash, and a pretty serious one, and she was still recovering from that. So she came back and recorded it, first vocal take, and she, with the changes, and that one was obviously her biggest hit. Went to number 1 in the country charts and number 12 in the pop charts. If you ever heard Willie Nelson sing this song, he does a pretty darn good version of it, his own song himself. She was selling out the Grand Ole Opry soon thereafterwards. I mean, after that, it was just, I remember back in the day there, it was just like tours, playing the Grand Ole Opry, making all those friends, and just her career went up with all these singles that she was putting out. And by 1962, she was good friends with Dottie West, June Carter Cash, Loretta Lynn, the big names in the business. And they all said around 1962 that she was already talking about having premonitions of her own death, that she had an impending sense of doom. She was doing a show March 3rd, 1963, a benefit for a DJ that had died in a car crash. It was Cactus Jack Call is his name, famous DJ. And she did 3 shows that day, afternoon, 2 o'clock, 5:15, 8:15. There was fog at the airport, so they spent the night. Someone offered to drive her back to Nashville, 16-hour drive. She said no. The plane took off basically the next day. The pilot was not trained in instrument training and crashed, and all were killed. After that, things went crazy with her music. I mean, they kept releasing her music. They put out a greatest hits record that spent a record amount of time on the country charts. It was by 2005, it was certified as the longest album by any woman on any chart to stay on the charts. They put out a box set of all of her recordings, and it sold like wildflower. I mean, her wildfires spread like wildfires, I guess is the actual phrase I'm looking for. But, you know, you can go through a lot of Patsy Cline in her career. I mean, there's been books written, movies portrayed. I mean, the stories go on and on. It's just, you know, it's all through the years. And her music is great. I mean, you think about that for a minute. An 8-year career, died at age 30. That's pretty crazy, right? Her songs, Walking After Midnight, Crazy, So Wrong, Faded Love, I Fall to Pieces, Always, Imagine That. He Called Me Baby, Faded Love, She's Got You, even ones maybe you've never heard before, 3 Cigarettes in an Ashtray. And if we're going to go with the song of the day, it's this one for me, which oddly enough I heard for the very first time in a movie, and that movie was Natural Born Killers, which I don't know that I would even watch that movie today, but anyway, if you ever saw Natural Born Killers, you can't believe that this song was in there. There's 9 Inch Nails songs on this soundtrack. I mean, a lot of heavy music, and then this one comes out of nowhere. I had never heard it before, and when I heard it, I was just basically smitten with it and have been just loving this song ever since. And I think it's my favorite song of hers. And that is Back in Baby's Arms. If you don't know Back in Baby's Arms, you're going to listen to it this morning, so you're going to check it out. So Patsy Cline, I don't do a lot of country here, and this is a country crossover, but she's on my list, and I want to hear what you guys think of Patsy Cline. Pick out her greatest hits this morning, just put it on Spotify or whatever you're listening to and give her a chance, see what you think of her voice, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. So that's a great fireside chat, 7.5 minutes, not too bad. We got a great week coming up next week, so stick with me. But Slowdown Sunday, you're doing some Patsy Cline, and we're doing Back in Baby's Arms. Enjoy it. Don't forget to leave your feedback, and as usual, catch you on the flip side.